26, 1917, in Guangzhou, China. My dad, Cade IM Pei, worked for the Bank of China. My mom, Lian Quan, stayed at home and took care of me and my sister, Yuan Hua. In 1918, my father had to take us to Hong Kong because bad things were happening in China. Hong Kong was a British colony and they protected it well. I had a special place in my mom's heart. She took me to places where Buddhist temples were, and I saw a lot. Sadly, my mom died when I was 13. To remember Mom, we went on trips. When we went to the Lion Gardens of Paradise, I noticed how shadow and light mixed to make a design. Cool, huh? Well, this made me interested in architecture. Not a little, because I liked it a lot. In August 1935, I boarded a ship to San Francisco because the Civil War was in Hong Kong. I traveled with a friend from school. My friend introduced me to my wife, Eileen Liu, in 1938. My first job was with William Zeckendorf. He was the real estate developer of New York. Their company was called Webb & Knapp. They planned new housing, offices, and hotels. In the 1950s, I had to fly around the country to talk to city planners about new projects to build. The first major building for Zeckendorf was a 23-story building called Mile High Center in Denver, Colorado. But I wanted to build bigger things like towers and skyscrapers, so I quit Webb & Knapp in 1960. Then I started my own company called I Im Pei & Associates. In 1961, I was chosen to design a scientific building in Boulder, Colorado to research. I finally knew. This is the chance to be an actual architect. In 1964, 1 year after John F. Kennedy died, Mrs. Kennedy chose me to build a library. I was very nervous, but 13 years later, it became the JFK Library in Boston, Kennedy's place where I grew up. Next, I built the National Art Gallery in Washington, D.C., also known as the East Building. But guess what? After that, I was one of the most famous architects in the USA. I then built the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio. This was going to be interesting because I didn't know much about rock and roll, so I learned about Elvis Presley, the Beatles, and Bob Dylan. It opened in 1995. In 1983, President Francis asked me to modernize Paris, so I took down a 200-year-old castle and we went to work. I put a pyramid, and under that I put an upside-down pyramid on the bottom, and it was like a light. It finally opened in 1993, and it was called the Grand Louvre Museum in Paris. It was a great success. When I finished the Louvre, it was one of my most famous projects that I did in my whole career. The opening day news spread across the world. What's important is that I am an architect and people can enjoy my buildings for many years to come. I received lots of awards such as the Medal of Freedom, which was the highest achievement in the world, but I liked the Medal of Liberty, which meant I was an American, but I never forgot my Chinese traditions. I haven't died yet and you can talk to me about my buildings. I've learned that when you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. And remember, be committed. Don't give up when you do something because you started it. Persevere to finish what you started.